morning, YouTube. I hope you're all well. And today I wanted to tell you a little bit about my new pedalboard project. You might remember my last pedalboard build, which was out of these flower roller things. You know, you put flowers on it, it's got wheels, and you can cart it around in the house. I don't even know what they're called. And I showed you a video of how I took it apart and put it back together as a pedalboard. If you haven't seen that one, I'll link it in the description, and I'll show you what's become of this. This is my current live board. I just quickly go through what I have on it. None of this is boutique. It's actually mostly it's rather cheap stuff, because I don't really want to have boutique pedals in small clubs where everybody can step on it. Well, let's go through it. There's the Bat Monkey from Digitech. This is a Donna Mod Square, a Behringer delay, a Donna reverb. It's called Verb Square. This is an ABY foot switch. My Boss TU3 and the drop. And in the back you can see there's a power strip, a patch bay, and most importantly, the rabbit, which makes it look cool. And we call it rabbitinabar, so I figured we need a rabbit. The signal chain is as follows. I go in by the tuner, go through all the effects into the ABY box, and the other line goes into the patch box, where I go to my vintage, if I may say so, Tube Man. And that's one of the problems I encountered with this board. The Joy amp, which is also on my board, and that was the big yellow, I'll lift it up again, the big yellow box here, that's my amp. And for quite some time I used the 1x12 cabinet. Actually this amp is meant as a practice amp at home, but if you mic it or if you put it on a big enough cabinet, it's loud enough if you don't have a drum set, which we don't, because the drums in our band are electronic. So it is actually fit for the task. The only problem with that thing is it's not really flexible. It does have 2 channels, but you can only switch it by hand. There's no foot switch. So that's why the Bat Monkey is on there, but that still didn't give me enough sound. So I dug out the old Tube Man, and there you have another set of problems. Because first of all, it's vintage, and kind of, at least. I think it was made in early 90s, late 80s, can't really remember. I didn't buy it new, I found it at a flea market, but you know, that's been years and years and years. So it's got its own mind, so to speak. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it sounds totally different. And plus the output of that thing is not as loud as the preamp of the band amp. So whenever I step on that thing, I have problems. So I was thinking about replacing it. And then one of the last gigs we did, I also had huge problems because I felt it was tap dancing all the time, which might be a nice thing if you're just a guitarist, but being a guitarist and a singer who's to follow a click track or an electronic drum, that's kind of hard, because really, how can you do that all at the same time? So I thought I need something more flexible and something more controllable. And I was shopping around. I was doing some Windows shopping on the internet, and I found the Moore Preamp Live, which I will order pretty soon. But I like to plan ahead. I like to plan ahead, and the problem I found was that at the moment, if I want to switch from a clean sound with, say, a chorus or a phaser, I just step on the ABY and switch from the whole signal path with the effects to the Tube Man. But using the Moore Preamp Live, that will no longer be possible. I can put an effect into its effect send or effect loop, but that's not really what I want, because what do I do with the reverb, for example? That needs to be always on, in my humble opinion at least. So I was thinking about it, and plus, how can I control the whole system with just one footstep. Well, I could of course buy something like the Helix, but A, it's really expensive, I think, and B, I don't like having one box that does all the tricks. I want to be more flexible, because if that one thing breaks, the whole system is broken. And if in a traditional pedal board, if just one pedal breaks, you can just replace the pedal. Well, there's pros and cons, but let's not get into that too much. So I much prefer having at least a couple of pedals with the system that I was talking about. So I figured I need some kind of looper switcher, and I found a cheap one. Actually, I found it for half price of what it is new, which is already not that much. It's a Harley Benson PXL 8 Pro, and the Pro in this case means, oops, don't hit yourself, Tom. It's got a MIDI jack. So the plan is to have all the pedals that I'm using in the loops of that thing, and also control the Joyo amp with not the Joyo, sorry, the Moore amp with MIDI. Because I was already thinking something about something else. Because one thing I haven't mentioned was that this Joyo amp has a headphone out, which is a great thing. We actually use that to connect it straight to the mixing board. It's got a transistor power amp, so you don't really need a cabinet, and it actually sounds quite good on your headphone and even on a mixing desk through a PA system. The only problem with it being, by the way, gotta support your home team, so to speak, your favorite club. It's got a 3.5mm jack, and mostly audio cables that you find on stages don't have 3.5mm jacks, so you need an adapter. And these are quite flimsy, so sometimes it sounds good, and if the cable just moves a millimeter, it doesn't. So that's another reason why I wanted to get into the Moore Preamp Live, because it's got an XLR out with a really good cap sim. So I'll order that soon, but until then, you'll see Pedalboard 2.0, and with the Moore it will be 2.1. So I figured now if I have this, it's actually way too big for the small board that I've been using for the last couple of gigs. So what to do? I could have just bought a ready-made pedalboard, but because in rabbitinabar we're pretty much do-it-yourself, or have this do-it-yourself attitude, I went to IKEA and got this Gorm board, which is, as you can see, it's really big and it can fit more pedals. Which leads me to the next thing. I bought some pedals. I bought a new overdrive, which is the Mojo. Video for that coming soon as well. Then my birthday was in July, and my parents gave me another overdrive, which is the T.rex Diva Drive, which will also go on the board, and there will also be a video for that. And I found a solution for the different output levels of the Joyo and the Tubeman. I figured, why not just use an equalizer? And I've got this handy little Donna equalizer, which can also shape the tone a bit, so why not? Another Donna pedal that I've got new, which is cheap as chips. It was like 15 euro. The Golden Tremolo will also go on the board, because at the moment I use the Mod Square for tremolo, and but I also use it for phaser or flanger, but I can only ever use one effect at a time, plus it sits before the delay and the reverb. This one will go after the delay, so it can actually have the tremolo on the delay trails. And then I figured, if I get a bigger board, let's do away with the daisy chaining, and I bought this Donna power supply. Now, why Donna again, you're asking? Well, A, they're cheap, 2, they're pretty sturdy, and 3, they sound pretty decent for the price. Which leads me to the latest pedal I bought. Big box, well, rather big box. Small pedal. This is the Alpha Cruncher, I think, or Alpha, doesn't even say, hang on, what is it called? It's the Alpha Force, I'm sorry. And it's got 3 effects. It's got a distortion, a chorus, and a delay. That would even fit next to my looper switcher, so maybe that goes onto that as well. And one more thing that I bought, we hardly ever have a monitor system where we play, so I figured it might be a good idea to have a headphone. And I'm making this sign because I don't want to use in-earphones. I want to use real headphones because it looks cool, I think. Gives you a DJ kind of look. And being in a band that's highly dependent on electronics, I think that's pretty cool. All those wireless headphone systems are really expensive, so I found something cheap that actually does the trick. It's a Behringer Power Play, and it's actually a headphone amp that you can stick to your belt. It's got 2 XLR inputs and a 3.5. Did I mention 3.5 mini jacks? Well, this one's got one, but it's only for headphones. And I've been testing this on a couple of rehearsals and 1 gig, and it actually works quite well. It's even got a limiter, so you don't damage your ears once it gets a bit too loud. And you can just turn down the volume or turn it up if you feel you need to. So, coming up soon is tearing down small board 1.0, building board 2.0, testing all the pedals, showing you the programming of board 2.0, and hopefully soon board 2.1 with the Moore preamp live. So stay tuned, lots of testing going on soon, lots of building going on, and I hope you like what you see. Give us a like. See you soon. Thomas out.